Who is the Maple Leafs' number one goalie with Anthony Stolarz close to playing as the lineup gets a big boost with the return of Tavares and Nyes? Hey everyone, welcome to Inside the Leafs. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun Maple Leafs writers Terry Koshan and Lance Hornby. And guys, Joseph Wall has been playing a ton of games here with Anthony Stolarz out, but Stolarz is close to returning as of this recording. There's no definitive date, but he has been skating with the team. For Wall, it's been a bit of an up and down stretch here, Lance. The numbers dipped in December and January compared to where they were, of course, in December. But a massive game against the Edmonton Oilers on Saturday night with Joseph Wall in net. How do you think Craig Berube plays this once Anthony Stolarz is ready to return?
Well, to your point, a huge statement game by Wall against the Oilers. He every time he makes one of those really difficult stretch pad saves, you think you're looking back and saying, did he hurt himself? Because he always seems to have had that tendency, unfortunately, to just when it looks like he's going to go on a great roll, gets hurt. But he's avoided that most of the year since coming back from his early season injury. Very poised back there. A perfect temperament. He's taking advantage of a very good defense in front of him as well. So it's all looking great for him. And now, of course, Stolarz, who was merely the NHL's leader in save percentage before he got hurt, is going to be available shortly. So there's not a lot of back-to-back games coming up. Not until March. I think there's three after the coming in that month after the Four Nations. So there's not going to be a lot of back-to-backs that would present an immediate situation where you could plug Stolarz in, but you can't deny that he's a great 1 and 1A at this point. It may take him a couple of starts to get going again, and that's going to be a pleasant problem for the Leafs, who usually are worried about goaltending this time of year.
Yeah, I think that Stolarz hasn't, you can't necessarily lose your job, or you want to call it, when you've been out. Like Lance said, he still leads the league in save percentage, just above Hellebuck and Thompson. So we'll see, give him a bit of not so much a run when he comes back, but I think you have to go 50-50 and then go from there. Wall, I think the last 5 games he's been 900 or above save percentage wise. And of course, like Lance said, the statement game on Saturday, especially with those 2 incredible saves as the last seconds ticked off, and 45 saves. So, great for Wall going forward, but, Stolarz, you can't deny what he did before he got hurt. And if he picks up where he left off, then you're looking at least a 50-50 split. And if he keeps that going, then you're going to have to give him, I think, 2 out of every 3 going forward. But we'll see. Like Lance says, it's a good problem to have. Stolarz will have to get up to speed here, and we'll see how much of a runway he gets before Four Nations. Does he get into one of these 3 games this week? We might know more after practice Monday and going ahead. But it's Wall's been really good recently. Good for the Leafs, of course, and then Stolarz, like we saw, was so good for them before. And the feeling was across the league they had the best 1-2 punch in the NHL. So you get back to that now, and a good problem to have. But I think Stolarz will have to get the opportunity to prove that he's not too rusty, and then you go from there.
And very quickly, it might be a situation where Berube looks at how one goalie does against a certain team. I know Stolarz, despite the fact he's kind of long in the tooth, has not had a lot of experience around. So you might be looking at his success against other teams. Wall, as he gets up more career starts, just saying that might be a factor one day if one of them has a particularly good record against a certain team.
Well, definitely is good that the Leafs are getting healthy. Oliver Ekman-Larsson injury aside, on Saturday, we'll see what his status is moving forward. But John Tavares, Matthew Nyes back in the lineup on Saturday, Terry, against the Edmonton Oilers. And that obviously pushed Bobby McMahon down to the third line. Funny, because we talked last week about whether he should stay in the top 6 when this team is healthy. It was Max Pacioretty on that second line with Tavares and Nylander. But I guess when you look at this situation, I know maybe one game wasn't the greatest sample size, but when this team is healthy up front, is this maybe the optimal forward lines?
I don't think so. I'm not sold on Max Pacioretty in the top 6. I know he's been hurt a lot, and that might be the point, because he's probably going to get hurt again going forward. And I think McMahon, like we discussed, is in that spot. And, if you look at the numbers coming out of Saturday, if not for Wall, the Leafs lose that game. I mean, the Leafs got buried in their own zone, right? 48 shots on goal, and I think that second line really had a tough time at 5-on-5 with Pacioretty, Tavares, and Nylander. So, we'll see. McMahon, I just think is that guy. We talk about a 1-2 punch in net, and you can have one on the left side with Knies in the top line, and McMahon on the second. And all due respect to everything Pacioretty's doing offensively, but he has 5 goals this year in 30-plus games, and 2 of them came in one game. So, and I think he scored a couple of goals in October. So really not a lot since then. And McMahon, as we've seen, is more consistent that way. And, we'll see too what things look like after March 7th, right? When the trade deadline comes and goes, and who Craig Berube has at his disposal and how injuries work out. Now, that's only part of it. You look at the fourth line now, Ryan Reeves isn't in. Is Ryan Reeves going to be a big factor for you in the playoffs? I don't think we're sold on that either. At least I'm not. So, we'll see what happens with that fourth line of Pontus Holberg and these sorts of things. But for me, the big thing is right now is, finding a way to get McMahon on that second line again. And then, in turn, having the trust that Pacioretty may bring on the third line. So we'll see where it goes. But McMahon, to me, is a top 6 guy.
Well, in preparing for this question, guys, I wrote out the Leaf roster, and to Terry's point, big circle around Pacioretty. That's a big question mark for sure. Not just his health, but he does show bursts of speed now and then, and certainly he and Tavares have that veteran savvy between them that helps. But you can't ignore a guy like McMahon, who Austin Matthews compares to Knies and says are almost the same player. And again, to Terry's point, I wouldn't really go over Nick Robertson, who I think is, he's a real ball of energy out there. I love the way he skates and everything, but he's all about his shot, and that shot isn't going in. So that's another question mark they have to look at. I think something that might be addressed, and certainly adding another center, and which leads to the whole Max Domi question. So it is, I like their fourth line right now. Pontus Holberg has stopped being miscast as a second line center. I think he has his uses down there, but I think if not another center added at the trade deadline, you're going to see some more fourth line depth. And again, even though Ryan Reeves, I think, made it in a couple of playoff games last year, if I'm not mistaken, big question mark there whether you're going to put him in, especially against a really fast team.
Yeah, well, at the very least, Craig Berube does have options now where maybe he didn't have as many just a few weeks ago. As always, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. For Lance Hornby and Terry Koshan, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.